Gang, gang. What's good, bro?
My G. Man, welcome to the fifth episode of Money Trees. I am your host, Khufu, Khufu, and I am joined by the Life of Tom.
Yes, sir. Gang, gang, gang. What's good, man?
Yo, man,
Peace and blessings. Happy to be here.
oh man, I'm so glad that you decided to join me, man. This is the last one of the year, ending 2021 on such a fucking high note, bro. How you feeling?
Dude. Oh, man. I feel great, man. Definitely, definitely just going to reflect off that for sure. Yeah, definitely coming off a really great year, off lots of high notes, lots of different strides taken, man. I'm just sitting here, like, writing in my journal and shit, just writing my goals and my plot down. I'm just like, damn, son, sitting on this chair again, at the end of the year, doing this again, but things are so much different around this time, and I'm just mad grateful for it. We're here.
Man, the growth year over end or year over year is beautiful, my man. Like
Thank you,
you
my
have
G.
really been putting in the time, effort, and just paying your dues, and this shit's gonna pay off. Like, and I already know next year is about to be nuts for you.
All the
Like,
way, all the way.
you got any plans for the new year?
Sheesh. I
Not
mean,
my fault. Not music plans. Like, do you literally have plans for this weekend?
yeah, yeah, nah. I was thinking of flying to the West Coast for a short second. Um, just going in there, or for like that week. Or I was just thinking of maybe just I don't know, man, with this Omarion going on, man. I'm trying to just keep it chill. Ain't really trying to be around that many people, man. It's flu season as a motherfucker too. Niggas is getting sick left and right, G. So, most comes to it, we probably just gonna hang back in the crib, cop that for me, that Sauvignon Blanc,
Hey.
Cabernet. For me, get that nice quarter to the face and go in, go in dolly.
Shit, you may have just described my plan. That sounds fire.
Hey
Man,
man,
speaking on flying out west, bro, I feel like you always kill it in your LA sessions.
thank you, man.
Is that where you
Yeah,
recorded? Oh, well, my fault, my fault. What are you about to say?
yeah. No, no. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, so Thomas put out a fire project called Floor 11. Yeah, I need to check that out. It's available everywhere. But I was gonna ask, where did you record most of that at?
A lot of the sessions were back and forth from LA to here in New York. Um, I actually remember laying down the first song. The first song I ever did for that project was Gemini. And it was on a Spirit airline flight to LA. Um, and I'll never forget as I wrote, dude, I made the whole beat and I wrote the whole song on the flight. And I remember having all this like momentum. I didn't even go straight to the B&B. I just booked the stew. Like landed, went to studio time.io, saw what was open and just drove over there. I already had my equipment on me. And then from there, it went into this sequence of back and forth, record some in LA, and then I believe I finished the rest here in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say. Speaking on the Omarion, is for an artist like for an artist like you that you move around so well, man. Like, and I feel like you collaborate with so many artists from so many different walks of life that are in
Yes,
so many different cities.
yes,
What's
sir.
it been like for you having to deal with this pandemic this past, what, 20, almost, we're going on 2 years now. It's been like 20
Yeah, we
months.
it's about to be 2 years. Man, I mean, I've always been somebody. It's like, I've always been kind of a adventurous person, and I've gone, had amazing opportunities to, travel to different places here in the U.S. If it wasn't to play, a festival or a show, just go out there, network, meet some new people. Um, and when COVID kind of slapped, it was a little hard to deal with that because I had so many big plans for 2020 to just like go out and travel and rinse repeat as the years prior, just on a you know bigger level, bigger plateau. And so coming into 2021, uh, with that again, you know what I'm saying? I think the last year and a half, the last year to two is kind of giving me more of a clear vision as to how I want to go about that. And I think with lots of spaces on the net, you know, such as Web3 and, you know, Discord, Twitch, Twitter, etc., a lot of that, you know, connection, you know, to others has kind of been amplified um,
Yeah, 100%.
digitally. So in a way, it hasn't been something that's like been really hard to deal with. And if anything, it's been adjustable, honestly. Though for me, we've been outside.
Yo, I'll say that that's one thing. So, and I tell you this story. It's funny, very similar to Ja, where
Yeah.
I went to Treble FM and it was a Treble Tuesday,
Yep.
and I was there and I was like, okay, you know, this is some good music, some good vibes, like real good crowd.
Yep.
And then this person started performing, and I was like, "A the fuck, yo, who is that?" And that was
Haha.
fucking you.
Yeah.
And that's what got me in with treble. Started pulling up on more treble Tuesdays. Your performance energy is out of this fucking world. And
Thank you.
so it's good to hear that this pandemic hasn't taken like too much out of your vibe, because that's one of your superpowers, man. Like it really, really is. I think when people see those live performances, see that energy, it's indicative of how much work you put into it. You know what I mean? You don't
Yes,
just go
sir.
out there. You are in the crowd. You are actually performing your songs. It's not just solely tapes or or playback of your record, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
dancing around to it. And I really appreciate that, man. I do want us to jump to the Web3 piece and
Yep.
talk more about your experience there, but I would like to just kind of circle back to pre-pandemic, because you've kind of gone through some like artist changes,
Yep.
from your aesthetic to the actual branding,
Yep.
from a few different potential names. What's that been like, trying to find your identity, just being young from New York and figuring out where you fit in this music space?
Word. Good question. Um, honestly, you know, I've changed. I've changed my artist name about like three different times. This is the slap. Life of Tom is the conclusive.
Life of
Though,
Tom, Floor 11, available everywhere. Go stream it.
yep, yep. And I feel a lot of it just was kind of like throughout the years, it was always something that was kind of up in the air every time I changed something around. It never was something I was pondering on for a long time. It was just more so of like, kind of see things going this direction for myself. So, like, let me actually just exert it there and see what it looks like. And most of the times it made sense for what it was then. Um, and my thing is, authenticity at its finest. My whole slogan is go so left that things start seeming right. You know what I'm saying? And I've always
Whoo!
had, I've always had my own sound from the jump. I've always had my own aesthetic, my own aura. It's been very, OG original, to me. Though I think the con that comes with that is maintaining the integral fully. You know what I'm saying? When you're someone like me that has like so much just like undeniable energy, things are constantly changing. I mean, we're human, we're constantly changing every day, every second. Though when it comes to this shit specifically, I just, there were certain circumstances that laid around like the branding and changing of it, things such as like SEO, search optimization, having such a general name for what I did before probably wasn't the best idea for brand push, and certain things. So over the years, as my brand changed, I was constantly learning more of infrastructure and more of the business. When I began to talk to labels around late 2019, that's when like things really just started to switch for me on this side, just because there were things I was learning where I was like, damn, all right, maybe this isn't probably best fit for what I'm aiming to accomplish, or you know, uh, having this probably won't lead to leveraging this opportunity, So just being inspired too by like other artists, and just not the structure that these platforms hold, has also allowed me to like adapt and shift within my own branding. Though now I feel I'm at a pretty solid place. What they say, third time's a charm. um, and I'm really, I'm really I'm married to where it is at now, and obviously always very open to whatever changes can be made to allow the brand to expand, as a whole. Though, yeah, that's kind of what the experience is. It's been very like in flux. Yeah.
I mean, yo, man, that's one beautiful that you're able to just kind of open up and, relatively be vulnerable. There's not a lot of people that would kind of admit, like, hey, I changed my mind about this. And I'm okay with the fact that I changed my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yep.
And I think that's like some really good energy to be carrying in because you're also young as hell, man. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, like you are going to be different year over year, and you're trying to figure out what that identity is in a place where yeah, like, it's fucking New York City. You're from New York, right?
Yes, sir. Born and raised
Right.
uptown.
Right. So it's like you got this high energy. You're in one of the busiest cities in the world. And as you're starting to, peak, well, not peak, but as you're starting to get your artist career rolling, the goddamn pandemic shuts it down. So, of course,
Yep.
that vision is going to change. Of course, the way that you're operating is going to change. And it's ill that you didn't allow that to let you get stuck anywhere. You know what I mean?
Ah, for
Like you
sure.
kept,
And it
yeah.
was for
So
the
I
best, man. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. If COVID didn't happen, um, it was like I was able to take a step back, and fully see what's working and what isn't. And from that, I was able to just solidify the branding more. It was almost as if things would have stayed the same, I don't know, maybe things could have went left and probably wouldn't have manifested to the fruition where it's at today. Honest.
That's real, man. So you mentioned Web3 earlier. What's that look like in the Life of Tom universe?
Web three, Web three in the Life of Tom universe looks something a little more of a creative liberty, um, and moving within your own rights, within your own being. Web three within the Life of Tom is more so of, I would say, it's like the Pandora's box, and the biggest complaint I've always had, coming into this is that my morals and merits don't really align with the structures that these platforms and labels, etc., moving within Web 2. And Web 3 is just so, it feels so free, feels so understanding, so open, so accepting, warming, man, welcoming. We're aiming to establish our own DAO. Um, we're aiming to create almost we're working on a collection right now, um be like 10 out of 10 pieces. We're aiming to partner up with one of these marketplaces, that are starting to take traction, and with the purchase of this collection, receive a Life of Tom token, um, and you will receive airdrops, um, that come essentially with benefits, almost like membership time to time, from merch in real IRL, uh, tickets to shows, courses, one on ones, you know what I'm saying? Um, NFT one on one, with the insurgence of, NFTs and just, crypto as a whole. It's almost opened up my vision to what I want within the end goal with music as a general, and my one of my plans was to open up a label somewhere down my artistry. Though with Web3, it's almost as if I don't need to go through that in the ways that one would have to in Web2. Feel me? I could just build a community, which essentially becomes my buyers. Those become my supporters. And these people know that by investing in me, they're investing in a long term investment where essentially they're almost becoming a piece of equity. of this Life of Tom University. There's so many definitions you'll get for Web3. You'll go to Google, you'll type in Web3, you'll get one definition. Though Web3 should be defined differently depending who you are.
I think should be defined by you. You're doing a. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just
Definitely.
wanted to add that piece in. Like you are defining Web three. Web
Yes,
three
sir.
is a concept. You can't really define a concept. It's going to mean some. Well, I mean you can,
Nope.
but it's going to
Yes,
mean
sir.
something different to everyone. You talked about some of the issues that you were having with the previous Web two structures,
Yeah.
and you're coming into Web3 not necessarily throwing it all away. Where it's
No.
like, yo, there were good things that happened. Like the idea of having a team that you're working with to
Yes,
facilitate
sir.
all of these ideas. It's
Yes,
not like
sir.
you had to throw away your entire team and say, yo, I'm doing it all by myself because this is over here. It's like,
Right.
no, except our percentages are going to look different. We're going to potentially create a DAO. You're going to earn your keep, and your contribution will be represented that way, whether it's through the token, whether it's through the NFT.
Yep.
That is
Definitely.
one layer. Then you add in the layer of, we already said it, your performance energy is different. Your in person energy is different. The
Yes,
idea
sir.
of being able to incentivize people to interact in a long term way, where it's like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, you started supporting me year one. Wait till you see all the shit you get for that in year five.
Yes, sir.
And that type of, that hasn't been possible in the way that it is now. So I love the way that you're approaching the space, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Off many inspirations, for this, such as, homies like Latasha, Maroof, Alan Kingdom, so on and so forth. There's so many more. Just, watching these individuals and how they're going about it has really been inspiring for, how an artist like me should go about it. And, Web3 is creating new landscapes for music monetization as a whole, completely as we know it. It's completely changing. And with NFTs exploding right now, um, I feel the biggest thing is you don't you don't want to feel left out. You probably the best thing you probably want to do is actually interface, with these tools right now. And if you've been one that's been complaining about, oh, I'm tired of, I go into a meeting with a label and then they tell me the same shit. Oh, here we do things differently now, or oh, when I get an offer for a deal, they're trying to give me a hundred, they're trying to give me 100 to 300K for 20 to 25 years, like, you know what I'm saying. And it's almost, the way I see it is like you can bounce off Web 2 and Web 3. You can take the benefits, you can take the inputs from Web 3 and they almost use them to your advantage within Web 2. Bring that traction over there and have it reflect back and forth, because that shit's ultimately not gone. There's different artists trying to say, I want to be able to tour off Web3 this year. I want to be able to, establish a tour, and that's a beautiful idea, and it will happen. Though, we're just not fully there yet. So in the meantime, take advantage of both. Just can't, you know, diminish the other, or
Yo,
you
you
never know
are
what can happen.
spot on. You are spot on, man. This is just another. It's another piece of your world. It's another medium that you can use to tell whatever your story is.
Essentially.
And you don't need to separate IRL, Web 2, or Web 3. All of these pieces come together to create, a beautiful, it's symbiosis, no
Yes,
venom.
sir.
Um,
It's
but
all
yo,
part of the story, man.
it is like that's the whole thing. You don't have to be like, oh, now I'm in Web 3 and I'm not paying attention to any of these other things. Because those other things are still viable
Right.
depending on what the story is you're trying to tell. Where it's
Right.
like, yo, if you're trying to go on tour, you don't want to, well, not that you don't want to, but your virtual tour would not be as intense as your physical tour. I won't say that it won't be better or that,
Right.
like we won't compare that, but I think that the feel is different. The
Yep.
virtual, like that's dope. And I've seen some of that. Like you kill it on camera, you kill it with the
Man.
visuals, the videos are fire. But
Thank
at
you.
the same time, I remember what it was like that first time I saw you. And I still remember, I can't remember the address to the spot, but I remember damn near everything about that venue where we were at, tucked away in freaking East, well, not, it wasn't in East New York, but in
Yep.
Brooklyn. What was it? Off of I think it was off Metropolitan, that
Yep.
warehouse. You walk into the parking lot, all
Yep.
white. Like it's clear, crystal clear in my mind, because I was watching that performance thinking like, damn, like this is an artist right here. And I love that.
Thank you,
Um,
man.
you showed hella love. Shout out Latasha. Shout out Maroof. Shout
Facts.
out Alan Kingdom. All
Facts.
doing really, really dope things in the space.
Facts.
But I have a question for you. I've been giving out tips just from my perspective, from management side, as to like how people can get started. And I always tell artists, it's like, let's get your why first. Once we get your
Yep.
why, then we can do all the
Can build the
technicals.
what?
Yes, yes, exactly. It's like, or I would say the why then the how, right? Where it's
Right.
like, this is why you want to get into Web3, and here's how you can do it. So, from your perspective, right, what would be the tips that you would have for artists getting into the space? But you can do tips, or you could say like, you could just talk about what your experience was like getting into it, maybe how you found it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, either one of those.
So I mean, yeah, honestly, definitely just piggyback off what you said initially. First was like figuring out that why. Like I'll speak from my experience. When I first started seeing this shit pop off, I was working with someone at the time. Um, Shout out to Matt Bond. He got into this space real early, and where as we both were sitting there learning about what this shit is, the why came immediately, and it came from the incentive of you know where my heart stands specifically, and why I even started doing music in the first place. And when I saw just how the space aligns with that, it even almost brought a depth further into that why. um and once I understood, like, oh shit, this shit could help me bring this to that, that to this. Oh shit, like this could help me leverage this, optimize that. Dude, what? I immediately started looking up these different marketplaces, from super rare to rareable uh to catalog, to glass protocol, to uh man, you name it, fucking vcent.co, OpenSea. And I started to study these different marketplaces, and I started to study exactly what they're best for. You know, First, obviously I had to understand what an NFT was, what what is the space of an NFT? What is the value? What is this trust that everyone's talking about? What is the basics? Blockchain. Almost and around the same time, I was learning crypto for the first time ever. At the same time, while learning about this shit, so it was like understanding the basics of that. Then, dude, it just like it just became clear. Like each marketplace has the best tips is to like first starters like understand which each marketplace does. You have OpenSea, that's really mainly best for minting just like pieces, nothing crazy. If you want to throw some photo shoots up on there, some pictures. And then you got Zora, which is really great for like music videos. Then you got Catalog, and you have like sound.xyz, and these are really great for audio NFTs, and so on and so forth. Understanding these platforms specifically, and then the communities behind them. um I was able to put out my first NFT with, shout out to my boy Defy Def. um we dropped on Rarible, and I remember we listed it at 0.42 Ethereum, which is roughly around maybe to a grand to 1,200. And then, feel me,
Well, at
started
that time,
at
because
that
right now
time.
that's a bit more.
Right
Yeah.
now, it's way different. Um, and we started plugging it into different communities on Discord. Discord took that's another big thing you'd want to get into, is the Discord chats. These different marketplaces all have communities, and they're all thriving on Twitter and Discord. And immediately got into these different group chats. And then you know this I remember, as much as I was, going into it, I didn't fully understand the components and makeup of getting an NFT to sell. And as time progressed, and I'm not seeing this NFT sell, I'm like, damn, what happened? And I'm looking at people like, once again, Latasha, shouts her out, drop her shit and she sell her shit. I'm like, interesting. I'm looking at her shit, and with her NFT comes something called unlockables. Um, and these unlockables are essentially what the purchaser receives once upon the purchase of this NFT. So understand that, I was like, okay, okay. So so if you're gonna move in this space, you want to come with almost like bundle packs. You know what I'm saying, for when you drop these things, and you need to understand um, that when you list your NFT, you want to be confident. You know what I'm saying? You want to list it for what it's literally worth. You know what I'm saying? Don't slow down alert for anyone. If in a way, it almost creates hesitation, like, wow, why didn't you set that for that amount? And that makes the buyer, more excited, more trusting in you to buy this piece, especially when there's unlockables with it, and the benefits that come with that. So essentially, ultimately I moved on to Catalog, which is an audio NFT space. I dropped on there with my boy Levy Gray, and we were able to sell. It took some time, though, after promoting to the right communities, and then just like tapping in with different artists. It opened up my eyes further, and then slowly but surely, I just started connecting, with so many different homies, in these, group chats, in these different discords, sharing our work, looking at people's works, and there's different, you can come into this two different ways. You can come in as a collector, or you can come in as the mentor, you know what I'm saying? And both have their own, how do I say it, story, you know what I'm saying? Collector, you can you can build a bunch of different NFTs that you've bought, and essentially, when it's right, if it's moving right, you can sell them, and you'll make money off it. As the mentor, it's the same thing, except you're listing your art. You know what I'm saying? You can have a bunch of these going on at once, and people supporting them, from collections, collectibles, so on and so forth. And that's the basic, NFT Web3 101. Honestly, go into the space, you know, figure out why you're coming into this space, understand it, then get the how. Go join the Discord group chats, check out the different marketplaces, check out which collections are moving. If you want to buy some NFTs, see what's popping, see what's about to pop off. If you're minting NFTs, see which marketplaces are best fit for the NFTs that you want to mint. Whether it's paintings, if it's songs, if it's videos, if it's photo shoots. And then understand, the blockchain, that it's on, if it's on Ethereum, if it's on Polygon, etc. And then off that, build with the community. Shit, even start your own Discord, and from there, it's just community building, straight community building. Build, and you're in the space at that point. You're in the space.
Yo, that was fire. I mean, what a detailed breakdown. And you hit on so many points. I can't wait for other artists to hear this, hearing it directly from an artist who dealt with the ups and downs of that, where it's like you cannot just come into the NFT space, upload something, and call it an NFT and expect to make thousands of dollars from it.
Hell no,
That's
bro.
just not, yeah,
Hey, man,
it's not a reality.
if you're coming in here for the money, straight up, if you're coming in here just for money, you're not going to see a result. Many artists, I saw so many artists, man, when I first started doing this back in the year, all hitting me up like, hey, man, uh, bro, I want to make some crazy money off this shit. I want to, and don't get me wrong, the incentive is, it's coming from a place where I understand the frustration of, you know, the influence from, Spotify paying shit, for streams. Apple, same shit. Though, trust me, you got to be in this for the long haul. There's no short monetary gain off this. It's all longevity. All longevity.
See, that's one thing I've been trying to talk to people about with streaming as well too, is that streaming wasn't really made to get artists paid. You know,
Nope.
it was a way to combat piracy and a way to distribute your music to a much larger pool of people than it was ever possible before. And so that kind of gets lost in the mix. I'm not saying that streaming services shouldn't pay more,
For
but they
sure.
have a business model that they're working with. And that's we don't have to get into that topic, but
Right.
the point that I kind of touched on earlier is you and putting in the work, constantly collaborating, constantly reaching out, constantly asking questions, constantly sharing information, constantly contributing to these communities as you join them. That that remaining constant is so important in this space, and the rewards pay off when you do it.
Yep.
So I think that's so sick. I'm really excited to see where you're taking it. I'm very excited to see the Thomas token develop and what that looks like and what these
Thank you,
incentives can look
G.
like. I already know the studio. I won't give away any spoilers. You definitely mentioned some things offline that are just fucking gas.
Things are coming in, man, full complete. They don't want to miss this wave, and I definitely feel, by the ending of 2023, ending of 2022, launching into 2023, shortly, soon into 2024, this is going to be fully incorporated. And once again, like, this is something you don't have to get into. Like, you don't need to feel like you're missing out on shit at all. Like, there are still so many other ways to grow your artistry, grow that audience, grow that community. Though what I am saying is that right now we are seeing the opportunity in a lifetime to be at the forefront, of a wave before it's even fucking started, to to take advantage and actually go in and use this as something that can truly build.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone 30 and under has ever had the level of opportunity that this new space is allowing. When you think
Yo,
about the dot
G,
com bubble in the
what?
90s, we were all kids or not born yet.
Yeah.
So the tech boom with Silicon Valley and everything, mid 2000, or well, not mid 2000s, but like late 2000s, like that's dope. But we were all still in school, so this is
Yep.
the first time we're out of high school, and there's young kids. I just saw I think it was a 12-year-old that did 4 mil on her NFTs, and
Yep.
that speaks to the story. They built a great
Yep.
story. They built a great narrative. It's not just because it was a 12-year-old. I'm highlighting her age, but it's to say there's that kid on YouTube that thinks the number one YouTuber in the world every year, and he for the past like 3 years, and he's made a ridiculous amount from the time he was 6, 7 to 8. So
Yep.
yes, that was dope, and that was possible in Web 2. But I don't want to put a number on it, but many more of those opportunities in this space than there were in previous platforms, because you
Yes,
don't
sir.
need to be the biggest in the world to have a sustainable living,
Not at
and
all.
that to me, that's fucking fire.
Yo, this man, nah, for sure, agreed, yo. Like, there's a bunch of 14, 15-year-olds right now, bro, sitting on stacks of crypto. I'm
They-
talking about, yo, my young boys is upstate right now in Syracuse, fucking on holiday break. They go back to school literally next week. These boys is sitting on bands of crypto, selling their little
yep.
little art pieces they made on their fucking mom's iPad, and they just happen to, yo, the shit is like video games, bro. If you understand the construct of that, and if you understand those worlds when it comes to massive what is it, MMORPGs,
Yep.
and if you understand the creative liberty within that, bruh,
You can be out of
seriously,
here. You can be
you'll
out of
be
here with it.
you'll be yeah, man. And navigating through this shit, once you got a flow, bro, it just builds and builds and builds like a fucking avalanche, man. It just grows, yo. And by the time you know it, you'll be one of those individuals sitting at home, just making stacks off your art, and no
To
one
your
doesn't even
point,
need to know who the fuck you are. That's chill. That's perfectly fine.
to your point earlier, you're already looking at 24.
Yep.
2024, like we're going into 22 in a couple of days,
Yes,
and your
sir.
plan is already like, okay, how do I set this up So in 2024, some of these seeds that I'm planting are starting to materialize. And I
Yes,
love
sir.
that. So that was the whole impetus behind Money Trees. And I'm so glad you got to join me on one of the first episodes, last
Hey,
episode
man,
of
it's an honor.
2021. It's just these ideas that I have these conversations with y'all, and these ideas are so fire. And there's so much for other people to learn from them. But it's also going to be incredible when you can look back at this and say, like, yo, like I did exactly what I said I was going to do.
Yes,
I put
sir.
myself on a plan. I put the work in to earn these rewards, and that's that. And that's so people got to understand. What's that quote? It takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
It does.
Where you're like, oh, whoa, they just did this and he blew up, or like I'll say that 12-year-old did 4 million on the NFTs. That wasn't out of nowhere. I can guarantee that. I don't know what the backstory was,
Me
but I
neither.
can guarantee that she did not just upload art and make $4 million. That's not how
Hell no.
this works.
Hell no.
So, yo, thank you for coming and helping put down some roots here. I'm still trying to figure
Thank you
out.
for having me.
I'm about to go on a little tangent, but I wanted sound effects for this week. I'm hoping that I'll get them together for next week. But with me, just from the engineering and a little bit of the production side,
Uh huh.
I love sound selection. So it's been
Yes.
so hard for me getting the right soundboard together because I don't want to change my sounds either. Like I want to come through and have all the right sounds picked.
Keep it
So
consistent.
yeah, we're missing some sound effects now. Maybe we started off with 2022, and then I'll get down the motto
Get the bomb from
because
Funk Flex. The bam,
I
bam,
got
bam.
some. No, look, it's gonna be a money counter. I haven't found the right money counter sign though.
Oh,
So
I got
every time you're spitting facts, you're just gonna hear like brrr, like the
you.
money
I
counter.
love that.
Yeah, for money trees, and
That's
I just got to
dope.
get the right. I might have to edit the sound up a little bit so it rocks how I want. But I was getting at is yo, I'm still, I said putting down roots, but the idea behind money trees, and there's a thing called seed phrase. And so you're pretty familiar with Web3. So you know what your seed
Yes.
phrase is. You know how important it is to keep your seed phrase safe.
Oh
I
man,
really don't think
write that shit in a notebook and stash it somewhere deep in your room to never be found again.
I don't think seed phrase is scary enough. I think seed phrase doesn't scream security. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Where you don't realize like if you lose your seed phrase, you lose everything. So
Yep.
I'm repurposing it. And seed phrase on the Money Tree show is, the motto to what you're building here, or to the money tree that you've planted here today. Think of it like the motto of your rainforest. And you said one earlier that was kind of fire with the go so left that things start seeming right.
Yes.
And I don't know, is that your seed phrase?
Hey, I mean, personally, from my Web3 experience, yes, sir.
Shit, there it is. So go so left that things start seeming right. I like
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir.
I
You
have
hear me?
one last question before I let you go.
Yes, sir.
We are going to have a one of one Life of Tom Money Trees note available. What is the reserve price going to be on this note?
Man, that's easy, bro. I mean, with the whole space just starting, with everything just starting to build accumulation. And hey, my shit for me, you know what I'm saying? Hey, my shit speak. It's timeless. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it calm. For me, calm reserve. One Ethereum. Right then and
One
there.
ETH. There it
One ETH.
is.
If you got one ETH in your wallet, you know what I'm saying? If you wanna for me add almost a little for me chip in, you never know what you could see back 3 years from now.
Oh, trust me, these notes, these notes are gonna be crazy, man. And I don't want to. I mean, maybe I got to toot my own horn a little bit here. I think I am the first talk show. We ain't calling it a podcast, even though we on podcast platforms. But I don't know if anyone's done this yet. Custom art
No, no
for
one.
every single guest, and then turning it into an NFT. Like we are celebrating your appearance and cementing that in time. And there's so many other shows that have really great cover art. And you need to start doing that because when people look back and Thomas Life of Tom is booming, and my fault, I keep calling you by your actual
No,
name,
you
G.
good, you good.
But yeah, that's what Tom is short for, y'all. Life of Tom, Life of Thomas.
Uh-huh.
So when the Life of Tom tour is happening, and somebody listens back and they're like, "Yo, he literally said he was dropping this token. It was going to come with this incentive. That's going to be a collectible to have, man. And, we split those between you, myself, and Fernando, who is the incredible artist that does all of these portraits and has helped me with designs for the past 2 years. And it becomes a pretty cool way for the community to contribute to a show where there's not going to be ads. This is this is what we do instead of ads,
Yep.
And I think it's a little bit more fun. I cannot wait to have, how when you print money and when the government prints money, we don't print money. We are not FBI. Leave us alone. Uh, when the government prints money, it comes out as a sheet, and seeing all these beautiful faces from these people that have blessed me with the time to put in and come talk with me on this, I'm eternally grateful, man. I really, really am, and just thank you, man. I appreciate it. You dropped so many gems today too. It's going to help some other artists. It was wild. It was wild because yesterday, I got a couple of DMs and people were like, "Yo, I didn't know this, and this," and I'm like, "Damn, like this is why I do it." And I love that because y'all as musicians, I know what it's like when the fans come up and they're like, "This song saved my life." And not saying that this has that impact, but the fact that I can educate some of the people that do that life saving from a spiritual, soul
Yes, sir.
content standpoint, that's like I'm blessed, man, and
Hey, we
I couldn't have
here.
asked for a greater last guest of 2021, man.
Hey, man, we here, G. I'm glad that I could be here. Give some give some tips. What I'm saying on. What I'm saying, just advice on how to move within these new spaces that are emerging. Because the shit's a lot. Though honestly, whatever what I'm saying, people can do to just soak up the info one by one. Do it. What I'm saying, do what you can. And thank you for having me here, man. Glad that I can drop these gems. Glad that I can conclude for me close out this first season. And hey, to whoever listens, yo, good luck on your journeys. For real.
And DMs are open. Hit up
Yes,
Life of
DMs
Tom,
are
my
open. Hit me up.
man. Like
I'm
the
always
records
down
are
to.
amazing.
I'm always
Floor
down
11
to.
is streaming now. And I'm talking over you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, G. You always
Nah, you
down.
good. You good. I'm always down to chop it up with anybody. What I'm saying, any questions and shit. Though yeah, y'all go stream that Floor 11 new album out now. All DSPs.